Hey everyone, it's Lockheartqt, and today I'm going to discuss all legacy voice actors who could be returning for the next upcoming Mass Effect game. So if you're new around here, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for more BioWare and Mass Effect and gaming related news. So I think it's pretty safe to assume two legacy voice actors from the original trilogy of Mass Effect games will be returning for the next game in the Mass Effect series. First one being Ali Hillis, who voices Liara, and I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know that she also voiced Lightning from Final Fantasy 13, so there you go. And since we've seen Liara obviously in the 2020 reveal trailer, and then heard her once again in the 2022 secret transmission for N7 Day, she's pretty much locked in, she's pretty much confirmed. Plus she's gone on social media saying that she is involved in the project, and BioWare have done the same, so again Ali Hillis is pretty much locked in unless something drastic happens. Liara's absolutely iconic for gaming and for Mass Effect. I'd argue and say that Liara is sort of the face of the series when it comes to squad mates. Obviously Commander Shepard's the face of the series as well as the N7 branding, but Liara is she's still a big character for the series, so I'm really glad Ali gets to return playing her once again. Next up is DC Douglas, who voices not only Legion, but pretty much all of the Geth side characters in the series as well. Since we can hear Geth voices again in the N7 Day 2022 audio from the secret transmission, it's pretty safe to assume that DC Douglas is returning as well. Plus DC Douglas has also been active on social media, commenting on official BioWare posts, and liking content regarding the next game in the series. So could this be just a cute way of him saying, oh, I am actually, involved in the project? Again, we'll have to wait and see. But DC Douglas is also a member of the Mass Effect voice acting group that turns up for cast reunions consistently. Speaking of which, many of the legacy voice actors regarding the original trilogy consistently get together sometimes a few times a year, whether it be only for N7 Day or other days to celebrate Mass Effect. They also sometimes do it for online conventions and signings as well. Some of these actors include Ash Roker, who voices Tali, Kimberly Brooks, who voices Ashley Williams, Steve Bloom, who voices Grunt. You'll also probably know Steve as he voices Wolverine in quite a few things, and he also voices Tank Dempsey in COD Zombies. They have Courtney Taylor, who voices Jack, Alex Walton Reagan, who voices Sam Traynor, William Sailors, who voices Mordin. He's not the original voice actor for Mordin, but he was the one that's played him pretty much since Mass Effect 3. Then you have Raphael Savage, who voices Caden Alenko, as well as many other voice actors I failed to mention. Again, if you know Mass Effect, you'll know who they are. For example, the voice actor for Rex I didn't mention, and there's just so more. If I had to mention all of them that are involved in these events, whether it be once or twice, or voice actors in general, we'd be here for hours. Now, depending on when this next game is set in the Mass Effect timeline, presumably after Mass Effect 3, we could well be seeing these characters once again, with these voice actors returning to voice their iconic characters from the Mass Effect series. Actors such as Steve Bloom, Raphael, Ash Roker, and a lot more in the list that I mentioned and ones that I haven't mentioned have actually all expressed interest in returning at some point if asked. A lot of people do ask them when they're, interviewed for other shows and other projects. Mass Effect always finds its way to squeeze in when asked a question. A lot of these voice actors are constantly asked at least a few times a year, are you returning for the next game? And a lot of these actors give the same response when asked about the next game, which is something along the line of them not knowing anything and stating that they'd most likely return if asked by BioWare. Plus, and I'd probably say the two most iconic voice actors for Mass Effect being Jennifer Hale and Mark Meir. If you don't know who they are, they're obviously the voice actors for Commander Shepard. For example, both Jennifer Hale and Mark Meir held an interview with Games Radar to celebrate N7 Day a couple of years ago. During this interview, the two voice actors talked a bit about their desire to return as Commander Shepard. Both Jennifer and Mark consistently get asked this question all the time, and their response goes something a little like this.
That is up to you guys. Let BioWare know what you want. Let them know, because I would love it, and I think Mark would too.
Plus, in the N7 Day 2023 poster, we see several different species across the Mass Effect universe in this nightclub-like setting, and in this artwork we do see alien species that are typically also voiced by Mark Meer, as well as in the older game because he voices characters such as Niftu Kal, the entire Hanar race, as well as the Vorcha. So my question for BioWare is now, if you're going to bring back Mark Meer to maybe voice, the odd Hanar or Vorcha and different alien creatures across the Mass Effect spectrum, then do you bring back both Mark and Jennifer for Commander Shepard as well? This is purely for the fact that obviously Commander Shepard is the most iconic character in Mass Effect, and Commander Shepard is even featured in games outside of the Mass Effect universe. Plus, recently, I'd say over the past 4 years, BioWare have really stopped advertising Mass Effect Andromeda content and have been primarily advertising content to do with the original trilogy, whether this be with collaborations with other games such as Destiny 2 or gear on the BioWare Gear Store. Tell me, how many times do you see on Twitter BioWare talking about Andromeda merch? Exactly, it doesn't really happen. A lot of the merchandise that BioWare are teasing nowadays is specifically to do with the original trilogy, and more so relating to characters such as Tali, Garrus, Liara, Rex, and Commander Shepard. And lastly, we have what I'd argue and say is the bigger named actors in the Mass Effect universe, especially the fact that Mass Effect 2 had an absolute star-studded cast, with certain celebrities being in that game, and I'd say the series in general, that really have no right being in a Mass Effect game, because they're just sort of actors that you see in Shakespeare plays, Game of Thrones for example, and it's just wild to think about. And again, I'm not saying that any of the voice actors that I mentioned recently aren't famous. Actors such as Steve Bloom, Jennifer Hale for example, I'd argue and say are some of the best and well liked and the voice actors in the industry, as well as the fact that they get a lot of work outside of Mass Effect. For example, Jennifer Hale voiced quite recently Rivet from Ratchet and Clank, and like I said, Steve Bloom gets work constantly, not even just in gaming but in different animated TV shows and anime and whatnot. So a lot of those actors are famous, but what I'm saying is there are a few actors who I would argue and say are slightly above them in terms of being famous. Again, purely based on their talent is subjective, but one of these is being Seth Green, for example. He's best known for playing Chris on Family Guy and co-creating Robot Chicken. I still find it interesting that after all these years, Seth Green still has the Normandy as his background across different social medias, which is fitting because he actually voiced and played Joker in the original Mass Effect trilogy. Now, unfortunately, when I researched for this video, I couldn't find anything on Seth Green regarding the next game in terms of interviews and statements, so we'll have to wait and see if he does return for the next game, and I have actually reached out to him for comment just to see if he, actually comes back to me or not. I have actually in the past had Jennifer Hale respond to me asking if she's returning, and all I got back was, yeah, I'd love to. So it is interesting, and obviously I'm quite a small YouTuber, so there's no way some of these big name celebrities and voice actors will ever get back to me, but it's really interesting to hear and to see their responses. A lot of the original trilogy voice actors have really expressed their enjoyment and love for the series, and the fact that they do want to return. BioWare know how iconic characters such as Rex, Grunt, Tali, Miranda, Jack, Garrus, Commander Shepard, Mordin, Joker are, and etc. They know how iconic those characters are, and I think that if they have the chance to bring them back, they'll do it in a heartbeat. And lastly, in terms of Mass Effect Andromeda, now I've been all over the internet today researching for this video, and there's not really a lot on the Andromeda cast. A lot of them seem to have sort of left the gaming space and don't really voice characters, because quite a few of the Andromeda squad are actually TV actors or movie actors, so I don't really see them returning. But a few of the actors from Andromeda I have found a few things in them basically statements saying pretty much the exact same as what the original trilogy cast members state. For example, both Tom Taylorson and Farida Wolf, again I'm really sorry if I've mispronunciated any names in this entire video really, but both have actually come out and stated that again they would return if asked, and they really enjoyed voicing their characters. Both of those people are obviously the people who voiced Scott and Sarah Ryder in Mass Effect Andromeda, so not only do we have the original trilogy cast stating they want to return, but some of the Andromeda cast as well. Unfortunately I couldn't really find any more regarding Andromeda, but I am sure that quite a few of those actors probably would return if asked, so we're going to have to wait and see. With the next Mass Effect game really being a lot of uncertainties, we have no idea when the game's set in the timeline, we don't know who's going to appear. In fact, at the moment, we only know a few alien races that are most likely going to appear, as well as the fact that Liara's returning. So in terms of other characters, we're going to have to wait and see. If you were to ask me for a safe bet, I would suggest that due to everything going on at BioWare and how they're marketing the game and what they're doing in the BioWare Gear Store, I do think that this will be a direct sequel in some capacity to Mass Effect 3, so I do think a lot of the Mass Effect 3 characters will return. As for characters who can die in Mass Effect 2 and 3, we're going to have to wait and see if they return at all, because again the multiple choice aspect of how the story is structured and how the script is structured and how the gameplay is structured, we're going to have to just wait and see for BioWare on that. Anyway everyone, thank you so much for watching the video today, and for more Mass Effect content, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.